Work today was pretty productive. We powered through some deployment stuff. We're trying to to stand a new environment up. Well, technically not stand it, deploy our environment into another environment. Um, so there was a lot of like learning about how all of the Azure stuff hung together, learning how the deployments did. A lot of it was spent like kind of on a group call where we were all like sharing each other's screens and stuff, almost virtually huddling around a computer, which was kind of good fun. Um, it felt pretty productive. Like the evening wasn't, because like Laura had like a video call for someone's birthday at work, and that overhung by ages. And I'd kind of like planned dinner for the middle of it, thinking it would be finished by then, and then like it just kind of snowballed out. It hasn't felt productive from another perspective, but, and I begrudge saying this because I feel like I'm a twat. I've got like an ache in my leg, and I don't want to mention it to Laura because Laura's legitimately got a blood clot in her leg, but that's what it feels like from what she said, and it's not fun. So that's stressing me out a little bit, but otherwise we're just chomping on through, sorting out videos and whatnot, all that fun stuff. And then because obviously Laura had dinner late, we went for a walk really late. I don't always go on my own for walks, we often go together, but then we went for like a walk at like 8:30, which is too late to then like do anything when you get back, you know what I'm saying? My ginger beer's being burped. It's doing okay. It's not going to explode. I'm doing it every 12 hours. Happy days. So updates on my leg. I don't think it's a blood clot. I reckon it might be because of, you know how I swapped my monitor from a small monitor, 24-inch, to like a 32-inch? I reckon it's since then I've changed the way I sit. Every now and again, I catch myself sitting and like wrapping my legs like kind of like in a knot, like kind of just like that, but then one more time. And I never used to do that, so I feel like maybe that change has mean that I now sit slightly differently, and it's thingy. I've noticed that it's moving from leg to leg and in place to place, you know. So I feel like it can't be that. So otherwise, today's been pretty good. Been doing programming, lots of deployments as well as making this environment stand up. That's about it really. It's been a nice like kind of like head down kind of day. In the evening, Laura did some uni work. Laura's doing uni work this weekend as well, which is going to be a bit of a drag. I've finished off the quiz that we're going to be doing tomorrow. I think we've got enough questions for that. I'm struggling with one round actually, just reminding myself. So yeah, I am going to figure that out now. What else is going on? That's it. I feel like I had something else to tell you, but I think that's about all. Boring. We did our episode of the weekly quiz, boys. Did pretty good as well. I thought it was quite good fun. I misjudged a general ignorance round. That was a bad idea. Quizzes aren't fun if no one knows the answers, you know? Damn. Otherwise, though, we've had a relatively short day. Laura's been at uni. I've been like pottering around, so I did like a shop, as in like buy the weekend bread, basically. Sorting out the washing and whatnot, things like that, basically. And then doing some programming. I am currently looking at a way. I'm just adding my automation tests in at this point, and I'm just trying to figure out a way if it's plausible to do it in. What am I trying to say here? Words. I was looking to see if there's a way of basically I have to generate a client to talk to the API. I do that via Swagger, something called AutoRest, which automatically generates HTTP clients. It's great. But you got to like have npm installed for it to work. Whatnot. I was trying to see if I could do that in a Docker container. That was my plan. I'm not gonna. Well, I feel like it'd be really good if you could just kind of run it and it kind of install everything it needs to do and then output the files for the build, you know? And every time you wanted to update it, you effectively just rerun that container and it just kind of refreshes everything. I think that'd be really cool. I think it's a bit like unnecessary. What I will try and do though is try and build some automation tests that run fully in a container. So containerize the entire microservice with dependencies and kind of do end-to-end style tests. What would you call that? That might be good fun. Just see how it works. Because one of the biggest drawbacks I've got is Mongo. Like, Mongo isn't the best thing for what I need, you know? Basically, I have no tests that cover that part. So could I containerize that stuff and effectively have tests that run in Docker Compose to spin up the service and then run against that? That would be cool. But we'll see, because it would obviously involve. Interesting. Might have a look at that tomorrow. A lot of this is like, while I kind of want this thing at the end of it, I'm doing stuff for fun, basically. You know, that sounds like a fun little thing to try and do, because it is really annoying that part. Anyway, let's figure that out. Cool. Bed. Tried out my ginger beer, boys and girls. It's very gassy, and I think that's because I fermented it in a bottle that had so much headspace. It's like, it's not, I don't know how to explain it. It's like got a fizz to it, but like it gives off a lot of gas, you know, and it like, feels like it bloats you up, that kind of thing. But it's nice. I feel like next time I need a little bit less lemon and, like I say, less headspace in the bowls. So I think I might get some proper jars. I took to Laura today, and I'm very much all in when I find a new hobby, you know. So I'm gonna buy proper fermentation jars just because I've made ginger beer once. Today, just been doing programming. Laura's at uni again. I've been doing like automation test stuff, attempting to write end-to-end tests in a Docker container to try and drag Mongo in. So the idea is you have unit tests, at one level up you have acceptance tests, which is the code talks to each other, mock dependencies, and then trying to figure out how to do something like that in containers that's like nice and streamlined. I don't want it to be too onerous, I guess. We'll see. Otherwise, anything else going on today? Literally nothing today, boys. Boring AF. I've given up my weekly shopping trip to Laura. I think she was expecting me to jump in and be like, oh no, I'll go. But it's her turn. It's very much her turn. I've gone for the last couple of weeks. So that's life, isn't it? I went for a walk this morning. I'm still working ATM. I'm just waiting for someone to get back to me on something. I've done a lot of like deployments and programming today. So it's been quite a productive day. I've got like the pattern set up, and now I just need to like kind of flesh out. I've built the pattern for like a small bit. I'm gonna fill in the automation tests for the whole thing, and then we'll flesh it out. Because at the moment I've only got unit tests, not automation tests. So it's been a productive day, boys. So I've got a question for you guys. And this is not going to mean anything by the time you see this video, but hopefully. How do you deal with people? How do you guys deal with conspiracy theorists? Right? So I've got someone who is a family member, the first person ever to introduce me to flat earthers, because he found flat earthers and then used my space mission as a like to talk to me and was like, what are these guys talking about? And now he's like a full-blown conspiracy theorist. So I personally have no problem with flat earth theory. Fuck it, you know. I've read basically every argument there is about flat earth. I think it's great. I could go toe to toe with any normal person about whether or not the earth is flat or round, and I'll win if I'm saying it's flat. And I see no problem in that, because effectively it's harmless fun, right? But when the conspiracy theory is like anti-vaxxing or things to do with coronavirus, which can have potential negative consequences to more gullible people who don't read the things that they share, people, you know what I mean? So the spreading of dangerous news on coronavirus or anti-vaxxing has an effect that flat earth theory doesn't. But how do you deal with that? Like, how do you talk about that kind of thing with someone because I feel like I'm obligated to protect other members of my family slash friends by saying that you're wrong. You know, I feel like I should do that to be like a good citizen in the world. You know, but the problem is that you can't beat someone who just point blank refuses to even consider believing or trusting any source that you give that's counter to their opinion because it's ulterior motives or it's the government or you know what I mean, like you can't trust that, you can't trust that. Oh, this one that backs up exactly what I'm saying, you can trust that even though it's from the same fucking newspaper. But you know, like you can't beat that argument, and that's kind of why I enjoy flat earth stuff, right? Because there is no winning to the argument of gravity's bullshit. You just can't beat that argument. It's just, you know. But how do you deal with it? I've tweeted it and I'm like, I'd love to know what people do. Do they just ignore it? Like, does shining a light on it cause a problem? Like my gut instinct is shine a light on it, people realise it's stupid, you know? But this kind of stuff is like, enough of it snowballs, and then it's sneaky as fuck because they'll use a list of things that make, like, you can read it. Oh, and they also use the guise of critical thinking to just mean, just be, what's the word? Oh, I'm just a critical thinker, which means I don't believe a word anyone ever says to me unless I see it myself. That's not what critical thinking means. But they'll show links and you'll read it and there'll be a load of like facts and I can see there is like reasonable explanations behind each fact and they build up to this false narrative at the end, you know, but they pepper in, they're really fucking clever at it. They pepper in this fake shit, the real shit of like, oh, they expected the death rate for COVID-19 to be this. Turns out it's this. Obviously, they initially thought it was going to be a lot higher because we didn't know how fast it spread. In theory, the faster it spreads, the less bad the death rate. But we don't know how bad it spreads because we don't know how many people are asymptomatic. At the very beginning of this, the only people that were tested were the people that were in hospital, and the people that are in hospital are probably more likely to die. It's not rocket science. Like, that's not a difficult leap to make, you know? But anyway, they use those things like that and then just kind of like pepper down and something along the lines of, like, it's just one cognitive jump not far enough. They'll go, oh, here's the number of people per head that are vaccinated in the UK compared to other places in Europe. We have more deaths from COVID-19 compared to other places in Europe. Yeah, because you probably vaccinate the people who are more likely to die from the flu. The people who are more likely to die from the flu are probably more likely to die from COVID-19. Fuck's sake, you know? Anyway, how do you deal with that? Because I just legit don't know. There's only so many, like, arguments you can shut down. Like, you can just basically, my strategy is to logically depict argument with pure logic, without sources effective at all, because it's pointless. They're just going to invalidate the source, so there's no point. You just pick apart everything they ever say, and they go, right, done. Here's the logical explanation for that. Here's the logic, just use pure logic, right? That's it. Treat it like a computer would. And that works to a certain extent. They normally get tired because they just pull out one more thing, they debunk it, pull out another thing, debunk it, etc. But anyway, I bring this up because this person posts all the time and I like every now and again I pipe up on something to put him in his box, because what he likes to do is say one thing and then start an argument about something else. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in you talking about politics and how world leaders are all trying to steal all our liberties. I'm interested in talking about the correlation between people working in supermarkets and the deaths of those people. Anyway, but this guy shared a link to one of these sites that bullet points a load of facts, which are true facts but painted in an opinion. They're wrapped up in an opinion that's wrong, or the wrong conclusion, or an illogical conclusion. Anyway, but you have to be like relatively clever to figure them out. Dad replied to it and said, something like, look, it's not rocket science, mate. Just stay home, wait for this all to blow over, save lives. It's simple. It's not rocket science. And then this other guy said to Dad, you ain't no rocket scientist, mate, to Dad. And then put 3 pictures up, one of which was like a crowd of people. One of which is like this, which is something about majority of people being thingy, whatever. And then just 2 bullshit quotes from a philosopher once. And then Dad replied like, wow. Now, Dad, the thing, right, so here's my reasoning, right? You have to be quite clever to win a debate with these people. You don't have to be right to win the debate. Like, which is why I can win plenty of debates about whether or not the Earth's flat by saying the Earth's flat. And Laura hates it, how we can have a debate about something, she knows she's right, but she can't beat me, right? Dad isn't clever enough, I use that word loosely, isn't clever enough or like thinking enough, you know what I mean? Like he's not astute enough to spot that thing, and he'll say something that then kind of helps them, you know what I mean? Anyway, either way, this guy pissed me off. So I just so I've said something along the lines of, oh, check out that this guy's a message Dad being like, this guy's a true intellectual, to quotes from a random philosopher, and it proves it's a scandemic. But then anyway, I checked his freaking profile, and his profile picture, his like banner picture on Facebook, is a flat Earth meme. And I'm like, this guy's a clown. just immediately, like, trust me, you're a clown. Anyway, and now he's just like, and then I said something, a message Dad being like, I've just checked, he's a flat earther, he's a clown. And then he's like, you best put your clown suit on, mate. And then, and then he was like, because you can't explain one single proof that the Earth is not flat, motionless as it appears. And I just called him a clown again. He goes, yep, you are. And I'm like, just out of interest, what's your favourite fictional explanation for what the alternative to gravity is? Because there's loads. There's like, the whole Earth is moving up at 9.8 meters a second. There's electromagnetism, that's the most advanced one. But not many people use that because they're not clever enough to understand gravity. So electromagnetism, they don't understand either. Or density is the normal one. They're like, my phone is dense, so it can't go through this because this is also dense. Dope. Density just happens to be a pretty close approximation to mass, you know. But anyway, which is how gravity works. But where they fall down, if they stuck with density, they'd be close. But where they fall down is then saying buoyancy, and they're like, ice is more buoyant than water. You're almost there. It's less dense. If you would have stuck with that, you'd have been fine. Anyway, clown, mate. It's what he is. It's a fucking clown. But I mean, if he's talking about that, then he's talking about that, and he's not talking about how you can just go outside and just lick old people, and you know, it's fine. It's all a hoax. But yeah, like I say, normally I don't just flat out call people clowns, but this guy is a clown, and he's taken on my dad. Fucking right to the jugular, mate. But yeah, usually my strategy, let's brainstorm, is to quiz them on their belief, on their opinion, kind of get them to shoehorn themselves, because if you just go, oh no, it's not that because of that, you've given them the opportunity to just like blow you a million miles, and they just keep whacking up straw men for you to knock down. It's a waste of time. Get them to say their position, chase down to the bottom. As soon as you feel like you're at the base, disprove it, and then then they have to jump out to a different opinion. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, we never pronounced to say the answer. I know the answer. Well, shut the fuck up then. It just makes my blood boil. And I wish I knew what to do about it, because, like I say, I feel like I should do something about it, but I don't know what. I don't know how. Anyway, is it better to... I'm a big proponent of, like, free speech, and, like, you should be able to... Like, ideas die in sunlight. Like, bad ideas die in sunlight. You... someone's racist, they've got a right to say racist things, as far as I'm concerned, and then they just get crucified for it because they're in the daylight. Like, I have free speech to fucking call you a twat, you know? If you start banning that stuff or ignoring it, then it moves down into like lower societies, like more secular fucking weird groups that then like kind of all like echo chamber themselves into making it worse, you know? So it's like almost better to just whack them down like whack-a-mole as they come up, but no. But anyway, yeah, I just don't know. I'd be interested to know if any of you guys have any strategies. If this video ever gets uploaded and if you ever watch this far. Cool. Right, that is me for the day, ladies and gentlemen. I am gonna go, and this video is relatively boring and quite long, so I'm gonna end it here. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Like I say, let me know what you're doing, and also follow me on Twitter because it's way more up to date than this. Cool. I'll catch you later.